So what V8 needs to do coming in game 2, really, I felt like their bans and picks were very, very legitimate. It was perfectly fine. They just need to get their head back in the game and just come up with a better plan, a better strategy on execution.
But at the same time, Shen is just such a versatile kind of champion in that top lane. He can, even when you're down, contribute to your team. He has the split pushing capabilities. And if you're ahead, the fact that you can just sit there and tower dive extremely aggressively is, devastating. So they will ban that out. It is interesting to see, but you're right. V8, they knew their game plan coming in, and the real issue is that they just fell behind early, and that's one of the things with top lane. You fall behind because you're so isolated. It can be really difficult to get back into the game.
Yeah. The thing with Shen is Udyr does absolutely dominate Shen early, mid, and late game. So I felt like V8 was very confident in that pick. It's just one thing they didn't expect was that early first blood for Shyvana, which gave her so much control in the jungle and just ganking just around the map entirely. So that's just one thing you gotta look out for. You don't want to give up an early advantage and just give up a second early advantage within 2 minutes.
So right off the bat, we see V8 switching to a more controlled jungler. Mundo, definitely one of the strongest junglers in the game. Do you think that's, definitely a favorable matchup rather than having Malphite, who once Shyvana got ahead, Malphite had no means of kind of catching up against Shyvana?
I feel like most junglers, when they get ahead, 2 kills within 3.5 minutes, really, whenever they bump into another jungler, the other ones just got to hightail it. It's like, oh man, this guy's going to kill me. I just got to leave it. You take my farm. I don't really care. I'd rather not die. So that was a predicament Unstoppable X was in. And really, this game, I feel like Mundo generally is stronger than Shyvana. Shyvana's got a little bit more mobility, but Mundo is just so much stronger late game. And I felt like if Unstoppable X did not pick up Mundo, that would have been a go-to pick for St. Vicious.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Mundo, we've seen him played so often. He is, that kind of dominant force. CLG, they did pick up Janna as well as Shyvana, so Janna in that bot lane gives them that fight control. And then Kog'Maw going to V8, and Kog'Maw has just been dominating this tournament so far. You get to a certain point in the game, Kog'Maw, regardless, is going to have damage. And so you have teams like, Dignitas, they're not even getting damage on Kog'Maw. They're rushing that Phantom Dancer because they recognize Kog already has such a high damage output.
Definitely. The Phantom Dancer, in my opinion, I feel like they rushed the Phantom Dancer because of the synergy with his W, which does a % of damage to champions. And so when you're having a percentage of damage, the thing that scales the best with that would be attack speed, and Phantom Dancer's got plenty of that. And with the movement speed and his slow, he's going to be able to kite and stay alive. And so for Kog'Maw, his damage innately is very, very high. So what you need to do is, you need to survive. Phantom Dancer provides that for him. And really, the attack speed actually helps his damage output as well.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, we do have, Kog'Maw and Soraka that is a very strong bottom lane, but I just think it would be hysterical if we started to see teams experimenting with Dignitas, experimenting with that Soraka mid. And I know the odds of that are so low. You need to practice and work on the lane matchups. You need to understand how a champion like Soraka in particular trades with other champions in that mid lane. But even so, it would be fun. And Doublelift, once again, going with Vayne, one of his strongest champions, obviously, but I thought it was interesting when you have Vayne, such a short-range champion, against the long range of a champion like Kog'Maw, and then if you have strong upfront anti-carries like Mundo, whether they can get into Vayne's face, kind of try and shut her down a little bit.
I feel like Vayne is just one of Doublelift's strongest champion and his comfortable champion. That's probably the biggest reason why he picks him. You've been seeing him play a lot of Vayne just, I think, ever since DreamHack. And so, actually, a little bit after DreamHack. So, it's just one of those champions he's very comfortable with. So, I feel like when you're that comfortable with a champion, it doesn't matter what the matchup is. You can play appropriately.
But now we have Tree Eskimo playing Sion, his favorite champion. Really, I mean, out of all of them, I would have to say. And then Takashi X going with Karthus. That AoE from Karthus, how is that going to do against Vayne? Because Vayne, because she is short range, Karthus can maybe step up and do her.
I feel like Karthus is a pretty decent pick in this situation. If you look at 3 of 4 of CLG's champions, it's just relatively short range. It's one of those type of deal where if you want to deal damage, you have to get close enough to take damage. So, now with Irelia too, that's 4. Shyvana's short range, she's basically melee. Vayne is really, really short range too. And Ryze, he's got decent range, but he's one of the shorter AP casters. So even with Aurelia, I feel like Karthus is a decent pick.
Now, here's my question. You would have the insight here. Sion versus Aurelia. That matchup, it used to be fairly even. Aurelia had some difficulty popping Sion's shield, but if she uses her abilities, she, of course, can. Mm-hmm. But Sion could always just push Aurelia into the tower, deny some farm there. Sion has the pushing capabilities, so he can roam, get off some ganks. But now, when Aurelia doesn't have that innate regen, she needs to activate her W. How does she fare in that lane matchup? Can Sion push her around a little bit more now?
Sion, I feel like, can push Aurelia around. However, if he starts pushing the lane, you combine Aurelia's dash and slow with St. Vicious's exhaust, Sion is going to be put in a sticky situation. So depending on how the lane matchup goes, Sion should be able to farm really well, should be able to control it. But if he gets a little too aggressive, he's going to get ganked. And that's one thing he's not going to want to be looking forward to. I feel like Sion Mundo gank is just equally as scary. However, Aurelia does have anti-CCs built into her passive, so the gank from Mundo and Sion may not be as risky for her.
Yeah, I mean, Sion, he definitely doesn't have that same kill potential as Aurelia in that lane. He's got nice burst, but without that ignite, opting for the teleport, he will have a lot more map control. Couple that with his pushing capabilities. So we'll see whether or not V8 can take that advantage. But as you could hear, CLG, the crowd favorite currently, we start getting some cheering going. It's just, an awesome experience. But I don't know. I'm very curious. I haven't seen Aurelia in a while since she's been, nerfed. I've seen her here and there, but she's never really been the same champion. She's kind of struggled some. I know, Wicked kind of stopped playing her because he just doesn't feel that she wins the same lane matchups that she used to. But regardless, I don't know. It should be interesting to watch. And Karthus versus Rise, that's always a interesting lane. I mean, Karthus has the long range for farming, but Rise definitely has that upfront killing potential.
What Karthus wants to do is he does not want to fight early. I feel like what V8 Takashi is going to do is he's just going to want to just passively farm and hits his R whenever there's an opportunity. You're going to see a lot of roaming from Sion just because he doesn't have Ignite, so he's not going to be able to kill Aurelia. Especially once Aurelia hits level 6, she's going to heal significantly from using her ultimate. So I feel like the lane matchup top is more about surviving and roaming and ganking. The lane matchup mid for V8 is also about surviving and just having that global presence. And bot lane, same deal. I feel like Vayne, Janna has more kill potential than Soraka Cog. So V8's playing I'm going to play really safe and not give up any advantage. And hopefully they can pull to late game because that's basically where they want to be with that team comp.
Yeah, now, as they get to the late game, Vayne is one of those uber carries, but Kog'Maw, like you said, when they have Kog'Maw, Karthus, those are both extremely late game carries. I mean, they just completely can control the game.
The way they want to deal with Vayne is they're going to have Sion blow everything on Vayne, and hopefully with the Karthus ult, and maybe with one or two auto attacks from Kog'Maw or his ultimate, his Bio-Arcane Barrage, it's going to be able to kill Vayne, because Vayne's going to have about 1900 hit point about maybe 30, 40 minutes into the game. And that's not too much considering with Sion's Birth, with Karthus' ult, and just one or two attacks from Aphromoo, he's going to be able to get killed.
Okay, so in this bottom lane, we do have the very aggressive lane, double lift on Vayne, and then Chouster going to be playing Janna. Kog'Maw doesn't really have the burst damage to just, instantly pop that Janna shield, which is the big weakness to Janna's shield now.
Yeah.
Do you think that we might see, with the jungler, some early aggression there to kind of try and shut them down? Or is Soraka just have too much sustain for them? It'll turn into a farm lane.
It's going to be a farm lane for double lift, and it's going to be V8 that's just going to try and survive. I feel like V8 just has really, really passive lane in general, and they're not going to have control of any of the three lanes. So I actually foreseeably, it's probably going to be CLG taking every dragon and V8 banking for late game.
So with the dragons, if CLG, they have that early advantage, they're going to try and press. Karthus, with that Sion teleport, Karthus is very strong at taking dragon as well. Does provide some nice control with the teleport coming in from Sion. Is that going to be a concern for CLG, where they're trying to pressure that early advantage, and then all of a sudden Tree Eskimo just completely changing the game?
Definitely bottom is going to be pushing really, really heavily, and if there's you know, even if the exchange is slightly in CLG's favor, if Sign goes in there, it can change it 180 degrees. So that's one thing they have to look out for. What you don't want to have is, you don't want to have Soraka to ward deep behind lane and have Vayne and Janna pressure Cog to Tara, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Cog's going to be farming at Tara for the majority of the game. And so if Sign is strong enough and teleports behind, bottom lane can be potentially in trouble.
Well, here we go. We have the crowd cheering. Go cheer for your favorite team, CLG. What about some V8? Can we get a V8 cheer going? I know you're all going crazy for Hotshot over there. We got a little bit of cheering going for the other side, but everyone definitely really excited. We will be in this game shortly. And I'm definitely just kind of curious to see how Hotshot is going to be playing Aurelia again. Aurelia, even with the changes, that only affects the laning phase for the most part. In team fights, she's still going to have that same fight control. She's still going to be a monster if she can, get those that early kind of advantage, get those early items, be really aggressive in those fights. So
I feel like in this case, Aurelia's early game changes isn't going to affect that much because, just right off the bat, V8's already expecting to play defensive, so she's going to get the farm that she's going to need in. And so in terms of mid-late game, she's going to be at the same pace that she normally would be.
So considering, let's see, purple team, we have CLG. We probably won't see any lane swaps. That's definitely something that CLG kind of pressures a little bit. But the lane matchups are probably, they're favorable as are. I'm kind of curious whether or not we'll see any blue aggression because both of these teams, their mids need to get blue, but at the same time, because the lanes are going to be so even, do you think that they're going to risk that kind of invasion, or? I
feel like, V8 should be able to defend off any invasion early game just because Karthus is really, really good at zoning level 1. You factor in that and Mundo's Cleaver, they're not going to be able to they're not going to want to walk in there. Unless CLG pulls out them something very, very sneaky, they won't be invading. And if V8 chooses to, they actually can invade. But after last game, I don't know if they have the morale for that. So I'm a little concerned.
Well, we are coming into the game, so it should be booted up shortly. But we do have CLG versus V8. CLG, dominant fashion in game number 1, just abusing V8 all over the map. They've been playing fantastically this tournament. I thought they were going to be able to take down Dignitas, just barely not able to accomplish it. That game number 2 slipping away from them. So that they want their second chance back at Dignitas in the finals, as everyone does.
I had already written off Dignitas. I thought that they had already lost. Actually, I thought they had lost to Mono too. So I was just thoroughly surprised.
Okay, well, if you want to take a look at their, players here, we do have this fantastic versus screen. We've got Hotshot sitting up there at the front of the table for CLG, and then V8 on the other side. Everyone's definitely excited, and I think it's interesting. Both supports taking Clairvoyance. They know that they've got these aggressive junglers. They don't want to allow that early invasion or even just counter jungling as the game progresses or ganking influence. So they will be prepared for that. But we are in the game. We should be getting underway shortly and see how CLG versus V8 handle this game.
Yeah, definitely. We've been seeing a lot of resurgence in Clairvoyance. I think for a while you stopped seeing it, but it's coming back just because, especially this game, they have heavily positioning dependent champions. So it's very important for both teams to have Clairvoyance this game.
Is that going to be a weakness bottom, though? Janna doesn't have her heal. Kog'Maw, if they can get any early harass in, they definitely have the out-sustaining comp down in the bottom lane with Soraka. Is the fact that neither Doublelift nor Janna have a heal going to hurt them, or is that really only for when you're kind of dueling and want to have that advantage?
I feel like it shouldn't be a problem just because Cog doesn't have enough damage early. Even with the heal, and if they're going to exchange, Vayne's going to come out. So... and if she chooses not to exchange, the Janna Shield's going to be able to block all the damage.
Well, we do have V8 coming in here extremely aggressively, recognizing both junglers are, manaless junglers going to go for that early red. So V8 going to try and steal this red. And then at the same time, we see CLG on the opposite side. They've already kind of set up themselves, just like last time, seeing if, maybe they can catch Trieskimo out of position again. Maybe coming up from that blue, though I don't know that they expect it, but we'll see whether or not CLG comes in. Do you think that they know V8 is in their jungle right now in the red and are trying to kind of flank them on their way back?
I feel like they're trying to counter blue, so that's why they're hiding up there. What they want to do is they want to have V8 start the wolves, then go to blue, but that's not happening. So it's just going to be them farming each other's jungle and then splitting off into lanes.
Okay, well, Mundo is going to be able to get that red, and that is going to hurt some of St. Vicious's ganking potential. They are set up here. We'll see whether or not there's a little bit of an engage, but everyone will probably be able to clear back. And let's see who's going to be getting this blue. I'm curious whether or not it'll be passed off to Hotshot or just give the experience to Saint, most likely. Oh my gosh, so we actually have Trieskimo almost engaging with Big Fat there for a second. But he's actually, you know, sitting over here. He doesn't see Unstoppable, kind of waiting around. They're not positive on where everyone is. He's actually going to walk right into Unstoppable, not going to see him there as he's getting away. But Saint coming up top, going to get off some nice early damage against Trieskimo. He will be able to get out of there with the flash, not taking any damage in that lane.
I felt like that flash was a little preemptive. What he wanted to do is have her burn at least exhaust before flashing. Because next time when Shyvana comes around, probably within the next minute, he's not going to have it up, and she's going to have exhaust, and that would be a 70% chance of getting a kill. And so I'm a little worried because he could have baited a summer spell along with his flash.
And particularly considering that, you know, Trieskimo is probably going to be pushing up this lane, so it will put him in that vulnerable position as we discussed earlier. So Mundo able to get his red. He is slightly ahead of Shyvana currently.
Yeah.
What is, you know, Shyvana's main goal going to be in this early jungling phase? Just to, you know, kind of clear along, get some levels?
In terms of jungling right now, she really can't invade without red just because her kill potential is going to be so weak. And she can't chase down Mundo. So one thing you're not going to see is you're not going to see Shyvana counter jungling on Mundo unless she knows his position on the map. Her concern right now is just basically farming. She's probably going to donate this blue to Rise if Rise wants it, but I honestly would like the EXP.
Well, we do have Mundo coming up here for this top lane for Hotshot. Hotshot still has his flash, so he should be able to get out of there pretty easily. He's actually just going to Blade Surge, but there it is, some damage going off. Hotshot getting kind of low in this lane. He did start off with the boots, but he is actually going to recall. No, he's just going to sit in lane, and St. Vicious clearing his own blues there, so doing pretty well with the farm there in the jungle. I'm kind of curious, I mean, the boots, you know, definitely going to allow him to avoid that early aggression with the ganking, but do you think he's going to be able to just regen safely against Sion? Sion doesn't have an ignite, so not a whole lot of kill potential.
There's definitely not a lot of kill potential. I feel like once it gets to the tower, she's going to be pretty safe. And she can also pressure Sion, maybe feigning a gank even, and get some pressure off of herself. And really, once she gets a couple of points into her heal, she's going to be able to sustain.
Well, we do have Hotshot coming in on Trieskimo, and his flash is down. They did see St. Vicious, but he doesn't have the vision, and actually he's going to teleport out of there, so is going to get out. But there it is, the stun from Hotshot, and St. Vicious with the exhaust, so he's going to be able to chase him down. There is the first blood. St. Vicious picking it up, and the crowd is just absolutely insane right now. We all know who they're supporting in this match. And that early kill for St. Vicious is going to be huge. Just like last game, he's going to be able to get that jungle control, even though he was set back a little bit, losing that red buff.
I think Sion would have lived that if he had about another half second, because Hotshot did jump into him and use his Resonating Strike, not Resonating Strike, using his Equilibrium Strike right away. And so it wouldn't have been up for like another about second, but he did like waste his time running to the brush before teleporting. One thing he should have known is if Shyvana was gonna gank, she doesn't have a stun either. So if he was gonna run that way, he should have just teleported in place.
And so far, we've actually seen Aframu doing a fantastic job controlling this lane bottom. The sustain from Soraka allows him to just trade damage very easily. But Trieskimo going to get off a nice little shot against Hotshot, but at the same time, Hotshot's doing fine. You know, there's no ignite, and then once Hotshot hits level 6, he will have that regen with his ultimate. So Mundo, you know, now because Shyvana has that early advantage, actually he's going to be coming in mid. There was the wall from Karthus, so he's going to try and get the cleave, but Big Fat going to flash out of there. What do you expect that Mundo is going to be trying to accomplish as a jungler at this point, knowing that Shyvana has a little bit of a lead?
She definitely does have a little bit of lead. In terms of her chasing down Mundo, I don't see it happening until she gets red buff or frozen mallet, or at least a phage. So he's relatively safe against her. They're just going to be basically doing their own thing and looking for gank potential.
Wow, but we have V8 going for an extremely aggressive Dragon 6 minutes in. Aurelia doesn't have that teleport, so Sion already coming down here. Karthus does have a lot of damage for Dragon, and Big Fat's a little bit low on mana. There he goes, throwing off the snare on Takashi there, but he's just going to back off. In the meantime, we have Janna and Doublelift coming down here, trying to take him down, and Unstoppable. Actually, we have the flash in from Tree Eskimo. There's the cleanse from Doublelift. Karthus ult will go off, but they're not going to be able to pick up any kills, and Mundo's a little bit low right now, so...
They should be able to pick this up, but I think they're a little afraid. Because if you look at everybody on CLG, they're actually relatively low, and I guess it's more prudent and safe to do it that way.
And I guess without, the jungler protection there, knowing that Mundo was so low, they didn't want to risk him dying and then, St. Vicious having the easy steal with his smite. But you're right, CLG was low, but at the same time, this is giving free farm to Hotshot, allowing him to push the tower with actually no consequence at all.
That's definitely not good for V8 at all. The expectation is when you 5-man group for Dragon, you can kill it enough before they can respawn, and if they do, you can turn on them and kill them. However, neither happened, so Sion definitely lost about 2.5 waves up top, and that's going to further extend the lead Hotshot has over him. So for a lane that he should be able to win or break even in, he's definitely not going to be able to do that anymore.
So Vayne, definitely one of the strongest duelists in the game. She has so much burst potential. Kog'Maw definitely has the range advantage, but once Doublelift comes into range, do you think they need to be concerned at all, or is the fact that they have the Soraka, have the Karthus backup, is that just too much for Doublelift to pursue any aggression?
I feel like in a normal 5v5 fight, she's going to have to come in late, because if she comes in too early, she's going to be able to get bursted down too early. If she's going to engage, she has to time Sion's stun before she goes in. Not until Sion has blown his stun and or shield is she going to be able to get in. So it's all going to come down to timing in a 5v5 fight, given that the team fight's even. If it's really face roll, then she can just go in and do whatever she wants.
And so we do actually see St. Vicious coming in there, pinking that dragon, so we'll see whether or not CLG pursues it. They do have a lot of damage with Shyvana and with Vayne. Actually, St. Vicious just going to start it on his own. They are not aware of this currently, but I think Takashi kind of thinking it a little bit. Mundo stealing those rates in the meantime. We have the teleport in from Sion. Tree Eskimo going to chase him down. Going to come right in behind St. Vicious. Afro taking him down very quickly. There's the kill. And then the stun on the Chowster. Able to pick up that kill as well. And then Mundo chasing off Rise mid a little bit. But here we go. V8 able to take this dragon. And, with that dragon, considering they are pushing into that late game comp, at what point do you think CLG really needs to kind of make a strong move and take advantage of this game?
They actually had good control of it until that move. I felt like Sion played that really, really well. If you look at the ward position, right, the common place that you would drop a pink ward to de-ward before you dragon is just slightly at that pit, either a little bit out or actually where you actually walk in, so you can get wards inside the pit and outside the pit. And so the ward that they placed, V8 placed, was actually outside of the range of the counter ward, behind. So if someone starts dragon, you can see an early warning and actually teleport it in. They actually don't have a place to back it into, because Sion's going to have a stun people can close into Shyvana.
As the game progresses, assuming CLG gets a good engage that they want, they don't really have the best initiation on really either team. We do have the stun from Sion, but Mundo actually unstoppable, getting pretty low there for the red, but he will have that for those ganks. But I don't know, do you think that Karthus' wall against this heavy melee team, this really short-range team, is that just going to be too much for CLG to handle, or how do they negotiate around the Wall of Pain?
I feel like if the game is even at the 25-30 minute mark, CLG is going to have a very, very hard time, and if they're going to make something happen, it's going to be from a pick. Rise is going to have to land a really, really good snare and pick someone off. Otherwise, if it's going to be a standoff, V8's definitely going to have the advantage.
And looking at the farm, we do see that Hotshot has a slight advantage, 40 CS ahead of Tree Eskimo, because he has been kind of roaming. I'll call that a slight one, but I don't know. They're definitely getting to that point where he's going to be extremely tanky. We'll see how CLG kind of pressures that. And the other lane's pretty even, actually. We have Kog with a slight advantage over Doublelift, and then Karthus as well, farming extremely well against Big Fat mid. So I don't know. We'll have to see how CLG kind of pursues this advantage. We do see Muffin Cutie warding up in this tri-brush here. Kind of concerned about the St. Vicious jump over the wall there, but I guess we'll have to see. So coming into this kind of mid-game area, V8 definitely doing well right now. What are going to be their goals to kind of continue the pressure in their advantage, or do they primarily just kind of want to sit back, farm, allow the late game to progress for them?
What I feel V8 wants to do at this point is just farm. They don't want to give up any advantage and just extend that gold lead. And even if they don't extend it, as long as they maintain it and it gets into late game, they're going to be able to team fight more properly than CLG.
There is actually the slow from Hotshot. They are tower diving, and there's the exhaust and the ignite. He's going to go down very quickly. Karthus does have the ult, but it just doesn't have enough damage at this point. So another kill for actually Hotshot top. So definitely in a strong advantage over Sion, despite Sion's early game presence. So definitely a good thing there. Do you think that CLG is going to continue pressuring that top lane, knowing that Aurelia has that advantage over Sion currently?
Definitely they're going to pressure top because Sion already being down a kill. The same deal last game. When you fall behind and when you roam, you're going to fall further behind. So the kill potential on Sion just increases every time it falls further behind its farm. And you couple that with Aurelia getting extra kills and assists, not only is Sion weaker because he doesn't have as many levels or as much farm, Aurelia is also getting a lot more levels and a lot more farm. So, one thing is Sion is weak because he's not farming, he's under level. And another thing is Aurelia is just really, really strong because he's getting a lot of farm and a lot of kills. So, he's just going to have a lot of threat and a lot of pressure up top.
So one of the things with Kog'Maw as a champion, there's some fantastic range, great late game scaling. CLG doesn't really have the best means of getting in. They have Shyvana, but I would think with the stun from Sion, with the cleaves and whatnot, they could pull Shyvana off a little bit since there's no hard CC there. What is CLG going to do to kind of disrupt the flow from Aphromoo and Kog'Maw?
I feel like if they're going to win, they're not going to be able to just straight up walk into each other 5v5 team fight, and so it's gonna have to be a pick if it gets to late game in an even setting. Because I feel like with the type of team comp CLG has, Mundo, if he is gonna be prudent, he's not.
Oh wow, we actually have double lift coming on an Aphromoo, some great burst damage, but once again Soraka just too much heal, so they're gonna back off, and Kog's gonna be perfectly fine in that lane once again.
So one thing I was talking about is, normally when you see Mundo, he's going to hit R and he's going to rush into everybody and try and be just a huge damage soak. And I feel like...
Well, once again, some more aggression top. Mundo is here this time, though. We do have the exhaust on Shyvana. Unstoppable X taking a lot of damage here, and Big Fat LP coming in. They are going to push this tower now. Do you think that we'll see them pressuring a tower dive here, or even just killing the tower and going for those kills?
Ideally, I feel like they want this tower, but they are splitting back off, so...
Well, it's definitely a pretty defensive game so far. V8 doing an effective job of kind of controlling CLG, not allowing them to pick off any early advantages. We did see some kills top lane. Hotshot will be able to get this tower. Do you expect that at this point, he'll just take it down, knowing they've got a short-range team, need to get those early towers? Or does he maybe want to keep it up so that the wave keeps pushing back into him and they can pressure Sion?
I feel like the way Hotshot plays, he's going to want to continue to push and just split and just keep V8 split, so they can't farm as effectively, they can't group up for objectives, so ideally he's going to want to pressure Sion as much as possible, and if it comes down to it, he can also freeze the lane in front of his tower if he just want to get that farm in later on as well.
So as the game progresses, V8, they don't have the best wave clearing capability other than Sion. Well, there's the absolutely opposite of what I was just saying, but Sion, great wave clearing capability, but at the same time, can V8 kind of stall this game if CLG is trying to be aggressive? If CLG ever gets an advantage, will we be able to see them pushing, or do they just not have a very strong pushing team?
Actually, CLG does not have a strong pushing team as well, so the way they're going to push is they're going to have to force global objectives, do a pick, kill a couple of people before they push, because with Karthus, with Kog'Maw, they're going to be able to clear all the waves relatively quickly compared to CLG. So in terms of pushing, CLG is just going to be very, very behind on that. So I really honestly think this game is going to come down to picking people off.
Okay, well, we do see them kind of stalling mid, and Kog'Maw is going to come bottom, just face off against double lift, get that farm in that bottom lane. Neither of them really going for Dragon right now. We'll see whether they kind of pressure that fight. Shyvana is going back. So, you know, we'll have to see. I guess we're seeing V8 now coming in for the Dragon. There's a ward from Tree Eskimo. With Shyvana, she should have plenty of time to get in here. I don't know. Who do you think has the Dragon control advantage at this point?
I feel like it's pretty even. If they fight, I feel like it can be anyone's victory. I give the advantage slightly to V8 just based on team comp. I feel like Shyvana's not at the point where she can tank enough if she jumps in the middle of everybody, whereas Mundo can tank just significantly more at this point.
So St. Vicious picking up the early oracles, I guess not really early at this point in the game, but definitely recognizes that they need to pick people off, need to get that map control.
They definitely have position control at this point because Cog is bottom. Mundo's still back, so if they do group, it's going to take a long time for Cog to make that turn down bottom. And so if the creep is pushing too, there's going to be a lot of pressure on that. So it's going to come down to Aftermoon where he places himself.
Well, CLG does know that Cog's bottom currently, seeing if maybe they can engage on anyone. V8 being extremely defensive, recognizes where they're going, and we do see them pinging Baron now. It's, you know, pretty early. We don't have really that strong Baron team. Karthus definitely has a lot of Baron potential with Kog'Maw, so you know, if V8 is able to get any kills, that's definitely a threat, the fact that they can just clear it so quickly.
So the reason why I feel CLG backed off is they looked at V8's team comp. Karthus does a lot of single target damage, and really the reason he doesn't do a lot in teamfight is if he misses. So on a standing target, Baron's not going to move anywhere, so he's going to be able to kill Baron really quickly. Mundo's Cleaver does % damage, so it's always going to be very, very high. Same with Cog, so they have a really, really strong Dragon and Baron comp. As you can see, that's how fast Dragon drops, so Baron wouldn't take too much longer than that to drop as well.
But we do have, after that Dragon, they are coming down for Doublelift. Doublelift does have the roll, but there's the flash in the wall, and Doublelift actually just going to flash right over the wall, so he's going to be perfectly fine there, doing an effective job. But still, at the same time, you know, V8 able to take that advantage with that Dragon. Now they're going to be able to take down this tower. Actually, probably just going to back off. But even so, it's pushing it further and further into the game where, as a team, they can kind of all sit together. You know, have Karthus with the AoE up front, have Cog in the back as that hyper carry. What does CLG need to do as far as like pushing or pressuring objectives in order to force V8 out of position, see if they can get any kills?
I think that they're going to need to bait. They're going to need to bait really hard. Right here is a very, very good chance for them to pick off Sion. So the way you bait is you're going to group up at places where you think the enemy is going to want to be, and you got to get there before them, and they do not know. And the way you do that is you have oracles, you clear wards, and you got to know the timer on buffs and global objectives, and just be a step ahead of them continually. And that's how you would make a pick happen.
Well, we do have Unstoppable here. He's actually going to walk in the St. Vicious, throwing the cleave, recognizing he's there, and so now we do have a 3v2, but the rest of CLG is coming up behind. Vane's still bottom, so they're not actually going to engage there. I thought maybe Aurelia and Shyvana would try and slow them down, but actually they're engaging on Takashi here. We did have the snare from Big Fat. There's the whirlwind from Chowster, and so we have a ton of damage coming off. There's the teleport in from Sion, and so Takashi is going to be fine in this situation. Sion with the flash over and the beautiful monsoon from Chowster. They are still chasing. We do have Big Fat coming through the jungle here, but probably going to get caught in the middle, but taking down Takashi, and now we have the rest of CLG coming in. We do have Kog'Maw being able to take him down. Hotshot going to jump on him, and in the meantime, we see up here Chowster going to flash over that wall, and so CLG able to disengage. It seemed like Big Fat was definitely out of position there, but they were able to trade kills, get out of there safely.
I thought those were really, really good. Great plays by both teams. You know, for a moment, I was almost sure Karthus was going to die mid. However, the teleport stopped Rise from killing Karthus. And then the flash by Sion was going to surely land on Rise and stun him, but then the Janna knocked him out. So it was just really, really good plays by both teams continually. And really, Rise I felt like was dead the moment he was in the jungle, and he salvaged it by killing Karthus.
Yeah, and so we will see once again this game is pushing further and further into that late game. CLG not really able to get, you know, that strong engage that they're hoping for. They are starting to group around this blue buff though, denying that blue from Rise. Definitely not as significant as it used to be, but he hasn't finished that Frozen Heart yet, so he still will get the full 10% CDR from that. And so actually they're probably just going to back off, see if Unstoppable can just seal this, but he's going to be walking right into the team. There's the snare from Big Fat, and now we're chasing him down with St. Vicious. He did steal that blue though, so actually really effective play by Unstoppable, so able to get the blue and then get out of there. But in the meantime, Doublelift going to push down this top, actually just going to back off. I thought maybe with the fact that they knew V8 was all bottom, he would maybe continue pressuring that tower. But in the meantime, Afromoo should be able to take down this bottom tower and continue, the slight advantage for V8 currently. So what is CLG in V8? Like right now, they're really kind of both being very hesitant to have a strong engage. They both recognize that anything could really catapult either team into an advantage. What is their really goal right now? What are they trying to accomplish, or just find people out of position?
I feel like they're waiting for Aurelia to just be a freaking monster, and hopefully she can shut down Cog. So it's going to be a matter of how hard can Aurelia Zerg Cog and kill him, and how well can his team protect Cog.
Oh, but we do have Hotshot. Unstoppable actually missing the cleaver. He did throw off his ultimate. And now Hotshot jumping onto Unstoppable, going to take him down very quickly. There is the kill, and he's going to be turning onto Afromoo. We do have the Karthus ultimate. Soraka still does not have the ultimate, but Hotshot going to barely be able to get this. We have Muffin Cutie with the heal. Hotshot juking over to the creep, and the rest of his team is coming down here. We do have Big Fat coming. There's the ward from Muffin trying to pick him up. Not able to get it. And in the meantime, we have Doublelift in this top lane, taking down Tree Eskimo, chasing him down with that movement speed. Able to pick up the kills. CLG picking up 2 kills there really quickly, and I cannot believe that Hotshot did not go down in that engage.
I felt like Afromoo was almost certain his next hit was going to kill Hotshot, so he wasn't moving forward anymore. It's just the expectation that, oh, he's dead anyways, time to run back, Rise is coming. And by the time they recognize that he's not dead, they just didn't have the time to chase him down anymore.
Well, looking at the game currently, Sion, doing an okay job farming, but Aurelia definitely has the upper hand there. Do you think that the fact that Sion is such a cooldown-dependent champion, when his abilities are off, he's kind of not that effective. Do you think that's an issue for V8, or we actually see Afromoo going to be chasing down Big Fat here, getting a lot of damage off, going to get him with the ultimate. One more crit will be able to do it. Big Fat just flashing out of way there at the last second. But do you think, Aurelia's tankiness and her sustained damage versus the burst that Sion has, how is that a favorable matchup for CLG as the game progresses?
I think the whole idea behind having Sion is more of him stunning and blowing his shield onto Vayne. So in terms of him trying to shut down Aurelia, that's not a concern for Eskimo. So really, I feel like at this point, if he lands a good stun and burst on Vayne, he's done his job. However, he is very, very, very far behind. So that burst, I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep Doublelift down or give him at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of what I was thinking. I mean, just the fact that his role is against Vayne. Vayne does have that cleanse, and with how strong Aurelia is at this point, whether or not he's going to be as effective in fights, they are coming in to steal this blue, so they are able to take it. Karthus definitely needs that mana. Did start off with the rod, so will be okay for the most part, does have a large mana pool, but CLG trying to see if they can bait him into this Baron. We don't have any ward coverage from V8 because of that Oracles, and here's Muffin Cutie getting caught out of position. Saint Vicious jumping in, Muffin Cutie going down almost immediately, and Hotshot in the middle of their team, going to back off for a second there, but Afromoo chasing them down, has great damage, and there's the Karthus ult. How many people is it going to take down? There's 2. Can we get Afromoo chasing? The flash in from Tree Eskimo is going to pick up another kill. Unstoppable coming in here, Big Fat goes down, Chouster with the ultimate, going to get them out of there, but this is a huge Baron potential for V8. They have a great Baron team. Hotshot trying to come in, see if he can kind of stall them for a little bit, maybe get in on Afromoo, but actually just going to turn onto him. There's the Karthus, Wall of Pain. Afromoo getting some great damage. Hotshot turning into him, but with the Ignite, very close to going down, is actually just barely able to get out of there. But even so, a Baron for V8, that's going to be extremely difficult for CLG to deal with. So we actually, Hotshot, or Chouster there, trying to see if he can steal it with the Whirlwind, isn't going to happen. What does CLG have to do at this point? I mean, they want to stall through this Baron, obviously, but if stalling is going to lead more and more towards V8's late game comp, how is CLG going to deal with that?
I feel like even though V8 has a stronger late game comp, and that's exactly what they've been aiming for from the very beginning, when it gets to a certain point where both teams just have all the items in the world, one slip up can cost either team the game. So, when you're behind and you're stalling, you want to get to that point where, we're broke even on levels, we're broke even on farm. Given that they are even right now, and, a slip up can cost either team a game. It's just that at late game, if they do want to drag it out, that's going to be what they're looking for. But at this immediate moment, I feel like CLG is still looking for that pick where they can pick off 1 or 2 people, take tower, pick off another 1 or 2 people, take tower. They're going to have to do that a couple of rotations this early in the game if they're going to want to make something big happen.
Here's the concern, though. Kog'Maw, great at pushing towers, has that excellent range to slowly poke it down. And if they want to engage on Kog, they have to go through the rest of the team. Right now, Trieskimo is holding Shyvana top lane. He does have that teleport up currently, so do you expect V8 is just going to be able to push through this mid lane and get some quick towers, maybe even get an inhibitor at this point?
Right now, I definitely think that they're just going to want to keep on pushing as much as they want. I mean, as much as they can. Because it's going to allow him to get farm in this map position. So, especially with Shyvana top and Sion having teleport, they're in a very, very great shape to take towers until Shyvana decides to go back. And Sion really has no worries because Shyvana can't kill him. So, what he's looking for is just trying to keep Shyvana there as long as possible, just so CLG can't engage so they can take towers continually.
Now, I thought that V8, we would see them just continue pushing mid, but they are coming up here top. Maybe going to get an engage on Shyvana. The teleport, the recall should be off shortly, so is going to be able to get out of there, but they will take another tower. Want to just continue taking as many advantages as possible. And in the meantime, CLG is just going to push down mid, so an even exchange for them. Mid tower probably even a little bit more important than top tower as far as map control. But now there's only Saint and Hot in this top tower, so I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing V8 continue this pressure, but they definitely don't want to lose their second tower mid. Oh, but we actually have Saint Vicious coming onto Trieskimo. He doesn't have his exhaust up yet, so Hotshot coming in. We do have the exhaust coming shortly. He's going to be dealing some damage, trying to get the teleport off. Can we get the stun from Hotshot? Oh. It doesn't matter. Able to take him down before it goes off, so trying to get out of there, but able to pick him off. And now Aframu actually chasing down Doublelift, is able to get a couple of barrages there. Doublelift going to flash out. So that flash is down, and with Vayne's short range, not having that flash up in fights is going to be extremely difficult for him.
That was actually very, very bad for V8, because what they're relying on is they're relying on Sion keeping somebody top and just pressuring, so they can continue rotating and taking towers. So him, not just dying, but him losing teleport, he loses that global pressure that he would have normally. Had it been just one-on-one, him keeping Shyvana off the team, it would have been just well worth it for V8 to do that. But since he died and burned teleport, he's not going to be able to continue to do that. And they have to group up as 5 because he's not going to be able to get there if the other team chooses to engage 5v4.
And one thing that CLG is definitely taking advantage right now, they were able to pick off Sion, but then keeping all of the lanes pushed. We see bot lane pushing down to the second tower. Just being able to keep up that pressure, it doesn't give V8 an opportunity to come up and take towers like they would like to. So it just stalls for that Baron to kind of disappear.
Definitely right now V8 does have an advantage. The advantage isn't so huge that CLG can't come back from. So I feel like a couple more picks like they did earlier on Sion, without their Baron buff, they're going to be able to make plays happen.
And so we do see V8 just pushing down mid once again. Sion getting that wave in his advantage down bot. Mundo just going to hold top for a little bit here, get that blue buff on Takashi. That'll definitely be strong. At what point in the game
they might even give it
will
to
they give it to
Afro,
Kog? Okay, that was actually what I was going to ask. So Kog definitely, mana hungry as the game progresses, has that long range poke. Do you think it's worthwhile at this point to give it to him, or maybe the next couple blues?
Definitely when he's level 16. I feel like that would be a good break-even point where it's actually more worth it to give it to Kog over Karthus. Because Karthus does have the Rod of Ages, his mana pool isn't going to be too stressed in a team fight, especially if he dies early. He's going to get free spellcast off anyway. So I feel like right about now would be a good time to give Kog blue buff.
Well, V8 knows that Baron is about to spawn. They're all grouping up, kind of getting ready for it. Doublelift in the meantime heading down bottom. Baron hasn't spawned yet, so I guess they're going to come and just get this momentum mid, but they do have an extremely fast Baron team. CLG is definitely going to want to watch out for that. Not great ward control so far from CLG, though, primarily because Unstoppable X has that Oracles, has been able to get them that map control. But actually we see Hotshot getting caught off by Trieskimo here. He does have the red buff, so he's going to be able to get out of there just barely, so he is going to back off there. But anyone going down at this point would definitely be, devastating for both teams. So we'll have to see. Baron should be up shortly. V8 probably going to pressure it.
So one thing that CLG is doing is they were prompted that, hey, we cannot win a 5v5 fight. So what they're looking for now is they're looking to split push. So really, they're not going to be able to tell. I mean, Sion has his teleport up, and he does have it up right now. So.
But even so, like you said, because Sion has that teleport, Shyvana out of position, going to be coming up behind V8 shortly. And actually, we see CLG chasing into him now. There's the snare from Big Fat, and Hotshot's going to come into the middle of the team. Takashi very close to going down, but Aframu is perfectly fine. Takashi will go down, but now we have Trieskimo coming in, going to protect Takashi, going to protect Aframu, and Unstoppable going very close to going down. Double Lift going to be able to pick up that kill, and now Big Fat jumping into Aframu, going to grab that kill, and now CLG, it looked like they were going to lose this fight, but we do have Trieskimo flashing over there. Is it going to be able to get out of there? So CLG able to turn that around. I thought with how protected COG was early on that they would be able to pick up that late fight, but CLG really effective play.
I think it was just really, really good fight by CLG in general. Shyvana was able to get there and completely zone out COG's DPS with the force flash, so he's flashing away from the fight, not able to do damage, one, and number two, he was able to exhaust COG as well, so he basically eliminated COG's damage.
And we do have CLG just jumping right onto Baron. 3 people are down for V8, so they won't be able to defend against this. Sion coming in, maybe could burst down Chaucer, but really won't be able to do that much to stall. And then if Big Fat gets on the snare, we will have Trieskimo going down. So CLG Baron, that's huge.
That was huge.
And just the fact that they can deny it from V8, knowing that V8 has that range, has Soraka already, having that extra regen from Baron would have been devastating if they had it.
Yeah. Basically, that last fight that CLG did, given that they do have a weaker team fight comp, but their positioning was superior, and so, that goes to show, even if someone has a stronger team comp, it doesn't mean that they're gonna win every fight. You just gotta outplay, and, you just gotta outplay.
And so we do have CLG. They have that advantage now. Hotshot trying to see if they're going after Dragon, wants to take that kind of gold advantage. We'll see whether or not they try and push. The concern is, of course, that because they're all short range, they don't have that great pushing capability. We do have great clearing capability from V8, and this is where there's a concern for CLG, whether or not V8 can stall the game, even though CLG is able to take this advantage with the Baron, or whether or not CLG can pick people off. And that's the thing. They don't have the best initiation in order to pick people off. They're very reliant on Hotshot getting in, on Big Fat getting in, and they don't have a Shirelias currently, considering that they don't have that strong teamfight initiation.
I think for V8 right now, I think they are feeling a little nervous after the last fight that they had lost, so they're not as confident one end. The second thing is CLG does have Baron buff, so what they want to do right now is they just want to stall out as long as possible without losing without losing towers. And once that Baron buff wears out, then they can start fighting.
And so CLG actually pushing down this bottom lane, but V8 completely skipping over it. They're coming down mid, going to be able to pressure this mid, and CLG's not going to be able to get back in time. So we're actually very close to having a base race situation, and everyone's getting excited. We do have COG going to drop this tower extremely quickly. They will be able to get an inhibitor there, so we'll see whether or not after they get that inhibitor, if they're going to recall in time to prevent CLG from getting this inhibitor. Shyvana, in the meantime, going to be pressuring that top tower. There it is. We actually do have a base race. V8 is going after the Nexus. CLG is way behind in this situation. We do have CLG trying to recall. Double It is going to be able to pick up the kill on Trieskimo, but the rest of the team is behind, and we have, it's a 5v2 situation. There's the Janna ultimate, and Chauster very close to going down. St. Vicious able to take down a tower, but they're going to back off, and here we have Hotshot jumping into the middle of the team. Aframu getting some good damage, but they're going to be able to take down V8, and everyone's going down. Double Lift clearing them out, and CLG is going to take this game after they're able to take down there. St. Vicious pursuing down this Nexus, and this is going to be GG CLG, the base race opportunity, and they're able to defend against it. Just fantastic play. I can't believe that we just saw V8 going for the base race and CLG able to defend against it in such great manner.
By Janna. Had she not ult them back, they would have been able to take that tower and had enough time to take down the base as well. So it was just really good play by that Janna.
Oh, I'm just sitting here. It's insane. The crowd just going wild. CLG able to bring it out. They did have that tower pushing capability, but able to just masterfully win that fight. Hotshot jumping onto Trieskimo, but they are able to take the series 2-0. CLG advancing in that loser's bracket. Just fantastic play all around, waiting for their opportunities. What was the key in that game? I mean, was it just, they recognized that they had pretty good fight control if they could get Aurelia the farm, if they stalled for that one opportunity where they had that strong fight?
Basically, it was just you have a weaker team comp, so you have to choose your battles more wisely. And really, they had a good initiation on Karthus as they're backing out. Rice nared her, and that started the fight, and then Shyvana came behind and completely zoned out Kog'Maw. And without Kog'Maw, which is a huge, huge portion of their damage, their players died in the front line. What Mundo